we are.
Okay.
In you now. My favourite one. Don't tell Polly.
Maybe that's slogs.
Shh. Who slogs who? Slogs who?
Never heard of her.
Look, not since the last time you were in the dirt have you been in helping me out here. I can't. Who were you last in for recording, Emily?
Uh, uh, I haven't been on for ages because I didn't come on the one after the USA trip. So
Oh,
have I even been on here this year? I'm
I don't
not
know.
sure.
I think maybe it might maybe on one of the communal ones, like a last year review show or something, a Christmas
It was
review or
probably the
something.
MBS agent when that came
Yeah,
out
that might be it.
quite a while ago.
Anyhow, that we've got him in the waiting room.
Yeah.
Ladies and gents, this is Emlyn Bainbridge, sponsor pro MBS rider, also co-host of what Roll Situation. Maybe a little crossover here. Eh. We'll have some of that. Um, but stepping in to Slogs's rather small shoes, thankfully Emlyn's got big feet, so he's stepping in here. We've got the fantastic Jobby Wonkaby. We'll have to ask him how to pronounce it. I daren't say it in a Scottish accent.
Yeah. I mean, I thought it was a bit like Star Wars, but like Joby won Kobe.
Oh,
But I had
maybe.
to ask you what his actual name was just to
Let's get him in it. This is Joshua Elder. This is his episode. Yeah, let's click admit and get him back in here
get him
and
in.
introduce him to the world proper. I believe Colorado based at the moment. Here he is.
Who's
Hello.
How you
hello?
doing, Josh?
I'm good. How are y'all?
Very good, very good. We're just mentioned, I think you're Colorado based. Is that safe to say?
I am finally.
Nice. The other topic of discussion briefly in the introduction was the pronunciation of your Instagram handle. Emily thinks there's a bit of Star Wars going on there. I think you've got a secret Scottish connection
You
there.
Jobby.
Both fantastic guesses, but Emlyn gets it on this one. It was an old nickname of mine. My uncles and aunts used to always call me, my name being Josh, so Joby Wan Kenobi. And then over the years, I just changed it to Joby Wan Kobe. You can find me on Xbox, PlayStation. It's all the same name.
It's definitely not the Scottish. Jobby Wonkaby.
Now, see, I like that pronunciation better. Maybe we can
We're
just
gonna
like
say
mix the worlds there, a little Star Wars.
Um, but yeah, look, dude, thank you so much for taking your time out to join us. It's been a while since the last episode, long overdue, as per normal at this stage in the game. But hey, we're still keeping bringing them to you. Um, I'm seeing some wicked crashes in the background of
Oh, yeah.
of your screen right now. I'm
I
waiting.
tried to do a little bit of a this is what I just grew up watching. I had the DVD of the Down and Dirty 2, and then I had the VHS of the Down and Dirty. So
Oh,
it was like that was before the internet and stuff. So you just watch that over and over and be like, what did he do with his shoulders when he tried the 360?
uh, I think staple educational material for all young mountain boarders back in the 2000s.
Oh, for
yeah,
sure. Yeah.
I got it on DVD and there was only like one specific DVD player I could play it on because it was in like American format and finally got to watch it. And then not long after it was like put up on YouTube, but
Nice.
it's a classic. So I'm
Yeah,
gonna
it's we're definitely spoiled nowadays. We can just go right in there and just watch whatever we want.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
whenever we want, except for Break the Bank. I've still yet to see that one.
true.
Break the bank.
Break the Bank.
Yeah,
A
you missed that
long
one.
running joke, eh?
Okay. I was like, which one's that one?
Well, you know, Hot Action and Trout Down.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
Like Justin Dersham. Yeah, there was like a teaser for a new one called Break the Bank with like Tom Kirkman and all of his crew, and all the footage apparently is still there, but the last
Heard
I
of
spoke to
this.
Justin, he said, why don't I just edit it? And we were like, yeah, we've been saying that for whatever it is, like 12 or 13 years now.
We, we did that. I'm pretty sure. Did we? Did you send him the joined round the table
Yeah.
begging message from the States when we was over there? It came up in conversation whilst we were at dinner one evening, and I think we all sent a please finish break the bank message to him. So Justin Dersham, if you're listening, man, come on, do us a solid. Do us a
Please. I do know what you're
solid.
speaking of. I've heard of that, and I was like, "What?"
Yeah, it'd be nice if it.
Oh, but Hot Action and Shoutdown were just so good in their own right.
Right.
Like,
Yeah, it's really just the thought of just unseen footage, you know?
Yeah,
exactly,
treasure chest.
exactly the unseen part about it. More
Right.
Yeah,
anticipated than the Epstein files, eh? Jeez. That I wonder how that comment will date in 5, 10 years' time.
Right. Yeah.
Um, so dude, you're in Colorado, yeah?
Yeah. Hmm.
Awesome. And uh, through brief recent conversations with you,
Hmm.
executive chefing over there.
Right.
For those that don't know, and correct me if I'm wrong, that's overseeing a number of restaurants, sort of daily planning their menus and markups and staffing, the whole lot, the whole kit and caboodle, really. Would that be
Right.
correct?
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. It's different dynamics. You've got like private country clubs, that's way different. You've got corporate, which are usually larger operations, and you've got restaurants. But restaurants in the States are just really hard to go by right now because you have to put a lot of money on the plate. And you're paying like $25 for a burger, and it doesn't stand up to a few years ago. So I usually do big operations. So you're exactly right on your assumption. I'm over multiple operations, multiple teams. Yeah, just watching the cost of everything and kind of looking forward to future plans.
Nice.
Wow.
And but Colorado has not always been your home, right?
No, I came from Alabama originally. That's where I was born and raised. Alabama to Colorado.
I thought I could
Nice.
hear it in the accent.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it gets thick sometimes.
Have you ever had the pleasure of riding with Brandon? Because he's Muscle Shoals, right? That's Alabama, is that not?
It is, yeah. He was about, I would say, maybe 3 or 4 hours from me. I never got the chance to ride with him by visiting, but we did meet once at the trailer park in Atlanta.
Oh yeah.
We both went to that. It was a funny short story. I'm standing on this little like roll in that goes to their mini quarter they just built. Brandon's a little bit younger than me, and at that point, the growth spurts had kind of made the difference. So, and I'd rode for a little bit. I was not good at all. I was kind of good, and I was like, oh, yeah, man, I can show you anything you want. And then Brandon dropped in and did like a 540 in the mini ramp, I think. And I was like, what? Like, who is this? And then just dominated the whole night. I felt like an idiot.
It's hard with
Oh,
him. We're both yet to meet him, I think, but I'd love to see him ride in person because I remember all those videos of when he was pretty young and
Right.
just like some kind of super kid. Yeah.
Right. He's always just been so talented. I mean, really, as you can see, anything he gets on. And that was, I know Devin and them have met him before. And just that night talking with him, he's a really solid guy. He's just fun to hang around with, loves riding, good to get along with.
Yeah, nice. Yeah,
got the best. I'm going to potentially go out there and say this. He's got the best hair in mountain boarding at the
Agreed.
current day.
I
My
can't take that.
No, well, me neither. I mean, I'm boxed fresh out the barbers, but let me tell you, he didn't have much to cut up the top here now.
It cuts down on the cost.
Yeah, quick job. Quick start. Um, so you were mountain boarding in Alabama though before Colorado, surely, because the timeline. How long have you been mountain boarding for now, Josh?
So I started when I was, let's see, I had to have been about 18. So that would have been probably around 2002 to 2004 is when I started.
Yeah.
I had I was working in food with my two buddies, Matt and Wayne. I found I don't know if it'll show up, but it's like the pictures of them in the Orb magazine.
Nice.
Yeah. So it like called out their Dixie sticks. They were starting their own brand and stuff. And I went to school with Wayne in like middle school. And then later we reconnected because he left and we reconnected in the high school. Over here, I don't know how it is in Europe, but it's sometimes it can be kindergarten to ninth. And then you go off to another school. It's a high school. Or there's other schools that are K to high school. You just stay there the whole time. So Wayne had moved ahead of me and went to the high school one. I finished out ninth grade. And then when I met up with him, we became friends, went through high school together. And then around the time that we were out of high school, kind of just messing around, seeing where life was going to take us, we got to where we were playing a lot of Halo and Halo 2, mass amounts of Halo and Halo 2. Which was fun, but eventually I was like, my uncle brought me up outside. I was like, man, we just got to get outside, And then that's when Wayne like literally took 3 steps to the closet behind us and pulled a mountain board out and was like, I got this thing. And I was like, let's go ride it. He sent me down the hill and I fell and I was like, that was fun. And went to hand it to him. And he was like, you can't hand it back to me until you make it down the hill. So I finally made it down the hill and man, that was it. I mean, I just loved mountain boarding. It was something that in a southern state to where there's no snow. I mean, there was one place we could go snowboard, but it was okay. It was fun, but it was something that wasn't all the time. It was a family vacation, so mountain boarding just really fulfilled everything I was looking for in a place that had no extreme sports, no skate parks, no anything. They've come up since then, but Alabama was not about extreme sports back in the day until it started getting a little more popular. So mountain boarding was just accessible no matter where you are. I mean, you can go build a jump, you can ride down a hill, and you can have all this fun that people, just don't have access to. I think more people don't have access to it than do.
Yeah, 100%.
It's just so fun.
It don't make a difference whether it's tarmac, concrete, grass, dirt, hard packed sand.
Right.
Even a sprinkling of frost and ice and stuff like that. The board will still get over it. Skate park,
Right.
All terrain. So what were the hills like where you started, or what was there to ride back home?
So that same place where me and Wayne went was the same place where, like I said, my uncle kept me outside on bikes when I was a kid. He had like 20 just crooked bikes, old bikes, mixed parts. And so we'd set up like the old TVs and stuff, the 4 mounted TVs that weighed like 2 tons, and we'd just put a piece of plywood up on it. We'd go out and jump it,
Nice.
So he started that. And then we started building this trail up behind his house, and we were riding bikes, and I always would cry when I would fall and bleed. And my uncle was like, get up, you'll live, So the objective was to fall and not cry. And one day I did that, called him over, and was like, look, I didn't cry. So then later, I got older. We kind of stopped riding bikes as much. And, I went into high school and got into high schooler stuff. And then when Wayne was like, hey, let's go ride, that was the first place that popped up because it had a small roll in that went about 15 feet to about a 20-foot roll in, and then about 20 feet of flat, and then maybe like a 5-foot hill that we could carve jumps out of, and then another 20-foot roll in that could act as a landing, and then a little jump at the end. And then we finally put a rail in there. And I've just found out I can download my videos off Facebook. So I finally got a lot of like my first video I ever made in Alabama.
Cool.
That was I think I put it on Facebook and YouTube, but that was back in the day,
Yeah, we'll get
But
that.
yeah, it was just perfect.
Yeah. I was going to say, I am definitely going to be geeking over that at some point very soon. There's nothing like it. I love watching old footage as much as I love watching new footage, especially if
Right.
I've never seen it before. The unseen footage. It's
Right.
always
Gives me a weird feeling. It's like
It is.
weird portal into the past. But
Yeah, yeah. Like,
Watching yourself, transporting yourself back to those days when you're like, all right, I'm just gonna throw it, you know.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And
Oh,
sometimes it's surprising. It's like, what? I I could do that then, or I could try that
Right.
then.
Right.
I wouldn't do it anymore.
It takes me 3 days to get over that, even if I land it.
Yeah.
so,
That was one thing. Sorry, go ahead, Dan.
no, 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 no.
I was just quick insert. That was one thing. Like I said, I mountain boarded for most of my life. It took me 20 something years to finally get to where I was dreaming of being. You know, now I've had 2 seasons of snowboarding, and I'll tell you, you do not land on a snowboard like you do a mountain board. A mountain board is like a trampoline. Like it's so flexy and just you never hit the ground. The first time since I knew how to kind of hit jumps, I hit a jump on a snowboard and I landed flat and I felt like every vertebrae in my back just like collapsed. I was like, okay, you don't land flat on a snowboard, but yeah, I mean, it's just, you know, then you get a kind of a gauge of like, wow, all these years, man, that's a knee saver, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
100%.
I've only been snowboarding a few times, but when I've gone, I've like been excited to hit the actual park and then gone in and just like fallen over straight away. And it's so painful. And then just
Right.
please take me back to some softer, like powdery side hits and stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
It
It's
definitely hurts more than you think it would.
Mm.
100%. And they're sneaky monkeys, are snowboarders, because they'll hide padding underneath their clothing. And everybody thinks, oh yeah, it's not snowboarding. That's great. And you're not going to hurt yourself. It's all snow. But no, 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 no. They're
What other
still
ones?
wearing
Right.
butt pads. They're still wearing D30 protection around their limbs. They're still
Hmm.
wearing wrist guards and helmets. It's just thus
Absolutely.
it's more obvious because you kind of
Right.
tough that tough exterior. But
Well, let's say these days because we got all the G form ones we can put underneath. That's why people like are always surprised if I ever rock up in shorts because I'm always wearing trousers and long sleeve t-shirt, cover up the pad.
Same. Yeah. I hardly ever wear shorts. I did in the
Yeah,
beginning, but then I think I saw a video of myself. And I was like, nah, never mind.
yeah, me too.
oh,
No,
look,
Chico.
Oh,
who's
hello.
this?
This is Chico.
Oh,
He's
Oh,
our little Pomeranian.
nice.
He's sweet. He's
yeah, he
our
looks like
buddy. We saved him.
oh, nice.
Uh, yeah, topic of recent discussion with regards to padding, off topic of Josh's history here, but the mountain boarder's style. Um, obviously we have a tendency to rip through trousers and stuff like that.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, what is it? Do you have a particular clothing you like to wear when riding these days, Josh? Do you think mountain boarders have a style? Because traditionally, like I say, it's probably been elbow all padding on the
Right.
show all the time. But now I think we can actually potentially cover up some of those pads and think about clothing. What apparel mountain boarders might actually wear. Uh,
Right.
do you believe? Are you a believer in cordura or the nylon? I forget what it's called. Not Teflon. Um, we know it as cordura. It's like hard wearing. Uh,
Like work
Is it like
trousers
padding?
kind of thing.
yeah. Well, no, it's not padding. It's used in really tough, like Gore-Tex. Have you heard of Gore-Tex?
I have, yeah.
Right. So cordura is the unpatented name of Gore-Tex.
Okay. Gotcha.
So you can have various different grades of that. Um,
Right.
and but yeah, snowboarding industry is and skateboarding industry and surf industry are kind of partly fueled by the clothing and fashion industries that surround them and help prop up their sport. I
Right.
suppose, in a nutshell, where I'm going with this is: do you think that there's any area that mountain boarding could have a fashionable context, or are we always going to be doomed to having old denim jeans with the arse hanging out of them and ripped across the knees, or can we ever dream of box fresh kicks and like nice clothes, a bit of drip, a bit of swag, you know?
Right. I mean, yeah, I mean, especially as low profile pads are coming about, I think it allows us to kind of wear things that we as an individual kind of want to wear. Within my lifestyle, I have work clothes and mountain board clothes. And then I just wear my work clothes out. And I have one suit. So I look important sometimes. But you know, I think in mountain boarding, I've always just kind of, I don't know, I definitely wanted to look cool, when I was riding. So I tried to wear stuff that was stylish, and like I said, now this is the first time I've had the knee pads, the elbow pads, and I can choose to ride light and not wear as many and kind of wear, tighter fitting clothes or something. But as far as a style, I think individuality is kind of what I've seen. You see, I mean, with skating, you see a lot of differences. I think snowboarding, they kind of mix together because everyone has the goggles and the whole face get up. So there's less face to it. But, when I see Emlyn ride, I know it's Emlyn. He's like you said, you got your khakis on and, it just looks like you're hanging out. And then you start throwing the sickest tricks. And it's like, oh my God, dude. Like, I think my wife would get mad at me if I wore the khakis out there. She's like, those are your nice pants.
Yeah,
But I really have always seen kind of individuality between the people. James Wanklin, I see him ride. I know that's him off the bat. The clothes and the individual styles kind of go together.
yeah, yeah. You got the different styles. You got like kind of Matt and Andy Brind have got those like bike.
3/4 length.
Yeah, and the like mountain bike kind of what are they called? But like sporty tops. They're like
Right. Yeah,
Like the
kind of the
dry fit
breathers or
top.
whatever.
yeah. And then
Right.
on the flip side, I guess you've got like Dylan in like skater jeans, and I really like the like Australian mountain boarders
Right.
like t-shirts that he came up with. Those
I snagged one of those
more kind
too.
of like rocky. I like that kind of thing.
Mm,
Yeah,
Yeah,
Dylan's definitely
you've got
got
the
this.
clean cut or the edgy, I guess. And then somewhere in between, and then the really funky people as well.
right. Yeah.
There was a time in the UK where everybody seemed to be a crusty juggler.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah. There's certainly still a few of those.
Yeah, there's still a few. There's still a few. Uh,
But yeah, we went kind of off on one with that. But I was going to ask, um, you said like finally you've made it to Colorado. Were you kind of aspiring towards that kind of like location in terms of mountain boarding, living, and snowboarding and stuff when you were in Alabama?
Oh yeah, I've had a few interviews here lately, so I've got a chance to practice my whole life in like a sentence. So the quick view is I'm 17, 18 years old. Wayne pulls the mountain board out. I love mountain boarding. I finally, maybe a year or two later, talked my mom into buying me a mountain board for Christmas because line cooks don't make that much.
Mm.
So she did, and I was like, I promise I'll ride it. I promise. And then so she did. She got me my first one, and thank you, Mom. Love you for that. And then I wrote it.
What
And when
was
the
it?
box came in, it said made in Colorado Springs.
Ah,
And that was what kind of started this whole, oh my gosh, there's all these riders out there, and the UK and Colorado, and this is where I got to go. So then about that time, I had to make a life decision because my dad had a GI Bill that would allow me to go to school and get paid on a monthly basis if I was passing, because he had to go to the Vietnam War. So then I tried business. No, because I had to sit in a classroom. And then I tried going for nursing, same thing. And it just popped on me. I was like, I've been cooking since I was 16. Why don't I become a chef? Then I can stand up. I don't have to sit in a classroom. I can always be creative. And then I can move wherever I want because food's everywhere. So I thought this was going to be like a 3-year plan, but it ended up being about 20 years. And I ended up moving all the way up to executive chef before I made it out here.
Mm.
So without mountain boarding in my life, I wouldn't have my career and I wouldn't have the goals I had to move out here. My wonderful wife helped me finally start saving money after I started taking positions that would, pay the amount that we could put a little aside and maybe have the amount to make that move.
Mm.
So yeah, man, 20 years working my butt off in a kitchen, watching everyone ride, being like, I'll get there one day. And here I am at 40.
Wow. That's a cool success story.
Thanks, man. I really owe my life to mountain boarding in many ways. And
Mm.
that's why it's true to my heart. And I love it. And I always will. I'm going to be 90 years old riding it if I can.
Yeah. Yeah, it affects us all more than you'd imagine, doesn't it?
It
Like,
does, yeah.
just as an example, well, most of my friends are in mountain boarding because most people at the weekend go out like, clubbing or whatever. I mean,
Right.
not so much these days, but I just go mountain boarding. So like, yeah, kind of don't know, it was just like a different lifestyle outside of school and work and stuff. For
Right.
a lot
Yeah.
of
That
people.
that was me, Wayne, and Matt. That was the same with us. We worked together, we went and rode, and we didn't really associate with other people. We knew other people from school, but that was just our thing, go up, throw the boards down in the woods and have a day of riding.
Yeah.
Did
Yeah.
did you, Wayne and Matt, have a crew name back in the day?
They invited me in, of course, but it was a little of a past story at this point. But the Dixie Sticks was what they used to coin their name.
No.
So yeah, I always kept it. They have, I think I've got a shirt around here too that Matt gave me a long time ago, but I just always like, that was cool, man. You two guys are like two little kids in Alabama, like sending all these videos out to, you know.
I shall have a flick through the Orb magazines that I have got here
Oh,
later on and see and give it a little read. Look at them.
Oh yeah, all the history and all the yeah, because you've
Yeah.
got you can tell you're a huge mountain board nerd if it's okay to call you that because
I was gonna say nerd. Yeah.
yeah, I
Nerd,
saw
geek,
on
whichever
your
one fits the
Instagram.
bill.
Remember on your Instagram all the you'd found all the old Paul Taylor pictures and they're just yeah, they're legendary. His
Right. Yeah.
photography of mountain boarding was like such an asset to the sport.
Yeah. It was this one, right?
There it is, yeah.
Yeah.
Classic.
Best one I have. I still pull it out on multiple occasions and just look through it. I mean, just all over the world. So many good pictures, so many good moments captured.
Yeah, we got to do more of that.
Yeah, true. Paul Taylor is one of the best photographers, honestly, outside of mountain boarding, all around.
Yeah, he's really good.
We'll have to organise with a few people around the world to capture some photos and do a year in the review annual
Yeah,
or something.
yeah, that'd be sick. Yeah, we'll do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So you were riding in Alabama loads, did you get a chance to kind of go and ride some other spots, either in the state or out in other states?
While I was in Alabama.
Yeah.
So yes, like I said, I took the chef gig with that intention of like, okay, I'm gonna be able to move where I want, and I'm gonna be able to do these hobbies that I love. And so during that duration of time, I started my job. We continually went to the trailer park. Shout out to Ted Ledoux and Brian Southard and Jumbo. Those guys really gave these broke Alabama boys a quick hour drive to go, to this like cool party where, these mountain boarders are coming to ride and you got mountain bikers and, everyone's just drunk enough to just yell every time you do anything. You do a straight air, they're like, you're awesome. So that was really kind of what we utilized. And then eventually I was able to take a road trip with Jumbo. It was like a 20-hour drive to Canton, Pennsylvania.
Wow.
And then when we went there, I went with Jumbo, and then when we were there, I fractured my spine. Yeah, that kind of all I did was the jump they have there was I cased it. It wasn't anything major, and I went to stand up, and I couldn't stand up straight. So I got back, and I'd fractured one of my vertebrae. And that kind of led me to you know, have to jump into my career a little bit, because I had to miss like 3 weeks of work at that point, and I was definitely expendable. Or then they let me know that. But you know, the first place I ever went, and it was 2 weeks after I was mountain boarding, so I knew I couldn't do anything. I'd always roller skated or skied, so I was always going forward. So standing sideways, kind of a new thing for me. It was in Asheville. It was Justin Rhodes' place. And I remember that's the sorest I've ever been in my life, because we went to the top of this huge pro track, and I would make it maybe not even a fifth of the way down. And then I would just launch myself onto my butt, you know, and be like, oh. So, but there was a foam pit there, and I did my first backflip. I've got a picture somewhere of me way up in the air, and I have no business being that high in the air.
Yeah.
And every time you'd land in it, you'd look around and little snake heads would pop down into the foam. So it was full of snakes.
Oh my God.
But that's the three places I've been is you know, Georgia, Alabama, and then Pennsylvania while I was living in Alabama.
Yeah, wow. 20 hours to the mountain board park is well, I mean, I did do it this summer to Poland.
Oh, nice.
So maybe I can relate now.
It's worth it too. I mean, when you get there, you're like, it's a fun trip. You know, you get to see different parts of the area you've never seen.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, long trips are definitely worth it. They're fun.
Yeah, for sure.
So did you who was your contact then for mountain boarding once you moved to Colorado? How did you
More people that I knew that didn't know me at all. I was friends with Dave Stiefvater, Devin Garland, you know, like Bijo. I'd followed Justin Dersham. I was following all the mountain boarders. That was because back in the day, it was just Facebook. You know, MySpace was starting to feed out. Facebook was taking over. And then everyone was kind of funneling into that where they would put their media. So I started, anytime someone had a picture of them mountain boarding as their profiles, like add friend, add friend, add friend. And so when I got out here, you know, I just kind of moved out under the radar. I didn't let anyone know. Like I said, I'd never really spoken with these guys. They didn't know who I was. They were these mountain boarders that I had to get out there, and there's pros, you know, like they don't want to talk to me. And so, yeah, when I came out here, you know, I bought a board from Dave, and I was talking to him, and he was like, yeah, you know, a couple of years this happened. I was like, yeah, I saw that, man. You know, I was like, wait, I'm sorry, man. This is weird. Like, I know about your life, and you don't know who I am. I feel like a stalker, you know. And then met up with Devin and all the guys, and met Brian and all them after that. You know, it's just they're all an amazing group of people, every one of them. You know, it's the same you find anywhere in mountain boarding. You meet someone, you almost automatically can pick up a conversation and feel like you're connected in some way, you know. So there was no prior connection, but after I put out my first video of a backside three I did in Colorado Springs, it was pretty much instant. Like Devin and all of them were like, who are you?
What are you doing in my yard?
I was like, I've been in Alabama for the past 20 years trying to get here.
Yeah, it's crazy when you realize there's someone who can mountain board that you haven't like noticed or heard of before, and
right,
you're like, wow, maybe there are more of them out there.
Right. Yeah, I mean, you know, that's what I've always thought. That's a great point. You know, it was so many years that nobody knew who I really was. I put some videos out back in the day, and I think it was Rennie Miles. Someone from the UK had commented on one of my videos, and I was like, oh my gosh, you know, I think I said something just super dorky back, and they were like, okay, whatever. But, you know, it was just that was where they sat. And then I continued on my career, had to take a little hiatus for a while to make sure I could stabilize myself and learn enough to become an asset to people so that I could take my life into my own hands. But you never know who's out there that just doesn't like videoing themselves, or
Yeah.
just likes to ride because they like to ride. Here in Colorado, you don't see it at all in Alabama, but in Colorado, especially in the mountains, you see people on mountain boards all the time. It might be a dude with long dreadlocks and kind of, a little bit skanky. Maybe he's living out in the woods, just living his own life. And then he's riding this old like mountain board down the hills,
Yeah, that's
and you'll ride by and I went to the grocery store and they've had them on top of their cars. So it's just like, it really worked out the way I thought it would. I was like, this is mountain board Mecca. And just like over there where you see them more often, I come from this place where you do not see them. And everyone's like, did you make that thing?
Yeah.
It's like, no.
We still get that a lot here. I think it did have a boom. And I remember going to the skate park and people would know what it was. But now I go and no one knows what it is. They ask me what it is. And then, did I make it? How much was it? All the classic questions. But it seems to like, I think, well, I've said before, the reason I started, or the first time I saw it, was in like a catalog from Argos, which is like I don't know what you call that kind of shop, but it just has a catalog and you pick whatever you want to buy from the catalog.
Right.
So every kid would look in the Argos catalog and
circle their Christmas list.
Yeah. So
that sounds like the Sears magazine over here.
Yeah. So that's the only reason I knew about it at first. I mean, I might have found it another way, but that meant that everyone that was my age knew about it because we'd all looked in the Argos catalog and it looked like a remote control car, but you stood on it. It was pretty cool. But,
that's what when you see it, it's just like I don't know. First time I saw it, I remember when Wayne brought it out, I was like, dude, let's go ride that. Like, and then that was it.
Can you remember what that first board was out of interest?
I want to say, and it might be because you brought it out, I want to say it was a Terra board, but it might have been I'm drawing a blank here. What was around that time there was another one. They had something called a land board that had like, I feel like maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 tires on it.
I know.
Double skinny tires, and then there was kind of like 2 on each end.
Don Baker will be absolutely killing me now for not just knowing this off the top of my head.
I know,
but I know the exact boards that you mean.
Those were them. He had a land board with all the wheels, and then he had another one that was skate trucks. That was either Terra board or the same company that made the land board.
And then what did you get as your first board?
Oh, every time I go in MBS, I see it on the wall and I'm like, that was my first board. It was a core and I can't remember exactly which one. It was around the year that the Leon Robbins Bomber was the pro. I think right after, it was that first line they put out after they went from the comp and then really started putting pro decks out with that comp shape. So I got the core on the bottom. It was red and it had a volcano erupting.
Oh, did it have the Matrix truck?
Yes. Yeah. It had the
Matrix truck, but still had the post bindings.
Right.
That exactly. A core 16, I think.
I think so. Right.
And then what are you currently riding now?
Oh man, I got let's see if I can, I've got all these back here lined up.
Oh yeah.
And then I've got
I see the Holy Grail in there as well.
I got to thank my wife on that. So many times she said yes when she wanted to just slap me. I was like, look, there's another mountain board. Okay. Just hear me out. She would just go, just buy it. And I'd be like, well, I feel bad because you're not letting me explain. So let me explain how new it is and what trucks it has on it. She's like, I don't care. Just buy it. You enjoy it. She's a wonderful.
Let me justify this to myself as much as to you.
Yeah. Right. But yeah, that was the first one. And like I said, when I got the box and it said Colorado Springs and kind of started that whole sprint towards Colorado, as soon as I brought it out, I aired up the tires. I did not tighten the trucks. And I went out to about a 1/4 mile hill that was fresh blacktop that they had built by the house my mom had at the time, and just sent myself on my way. Ended up having to jump off of it, rolled over, got stuck on my back, and slid down. And it scraped those two little hip bones that kind of pop out at the bottom of it
Yeah.
scraped all the skin off down to the bone. So you could see like shaved white bone.
Oh.
And then I went straight to my buddy's house and lifted up my shirt and went, dude, I'm a mountain boarder. His mom went, you're an idiot. That's what you are.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's the thing. Like when you were saying about some people that just have a mountain board, and there probably are a lot of those people out there, and they might use it, but it's like that moment when you're like, yes, I am. Like it's part of my personality. I am a mountain boarder, and that's
Mhm.
kind of the thing that sets those like obsessive people who go online and talk about mountain boarding or post videos. It's kind of what
Right.
sets us apart, I suppose. Yeah, you can own a mountain board, but you can be a mountain boarder. And there's even people in the UK, especially, who probably mountain board like once a year max, or maybe even less, but they still would say they're a mountain boarder. There's even people who
100%.
don't mountain board, like Greg Parry, who's a biker. He's a mountain boarder.
Right.
Yeah.
I
Ayla,
think it's a
Holly, they're
mentality,
mountain boarders.
Yeah.
If you can ride a bike and look next to you and see a mountain boarder and go, ah, cool, and not be like, ah, that thing looks dangerous, then it's like, ah, you're in the club.
Yeah. It's amazing.
Because that thing you're riding is way more dangerous than what I'm riding. It
Yeah.
is in between your legs.
Yeah, it's scary.
Every time I have that conversation working, having a cafe at a bike park, I have that conversation multiple times a week. But at least the kids are now starting to know what it is. Like, I'm not getting asked what is that anymore. I'm
Right.
hearing the comment, wow, oh look, that's a mountain board.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's there, it's being recognized now. Not seeing no more uptake yet, but where I am is it's not a place where you'd go for your first experiences of
Yeah.
neither.
Right. I think a lot of people, a lot of times, especially, I live like in the mountain town. So everyone that lives here or even visiting their intention is to go outside and do something, whether it be ride a bike or snowboard in the winter, and every time they see me on the mountain board, they're like, dude, that thing is awesome, and I'm like, yeah. And they're like, oh, I'd break my neck on that thing. And I'm like, nah, man, like you don't hit the jumps. Like you go out and you hit a nice grass hill, and I can almost see their eyes go, oh, that does sound fun. And I'm like, yeah, you don't have to hit jumps. There's so many other possibilities. But
Yeah.
I will take this opportunity to tell both you guys, all the women all over the world, all the men all over the world that post those videos up here in the mountains, and down in Denver, anywhere I go and ride, people have seen the videos, especially the viral ones. So, I think y'all have pushed it to a new place. I really appreciate everyone that puts that work in on that because, I think in many ways we might be further than we've ever been. We have so many different social media outlets now that, there's so many dedicated riders that are doing these crazy tricks, and just really putting it down. And we had a kid the other day, Devin was with me, and we went to the bike park, and the whole time this kid was, I can't believe I'm meeting you guys. Like, I saw you on YouTube. And we kept telling him, we're like, I don't think we are who you think we are. But we are mountain boarders, But he just kept walking over. He was like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm meeting you guys. So, it was fun to see that. But y'all, all the riders nowadays that have taken advantage of the social media, to that really spider webs in a different way that the original kind of outlets for media have worked. You've really pushed it very far, and I get more recognition over here in the States than I've ever seen. Instead of people being like, "Oh, you can't ride that people usually always smile and say, "Oh, that's a mountain board."
Yeah.
So I really appreciate that, man. I really appreciate everybody.
And I think we are all the guardians of our sport's reputation, aren't we, at the end of the
Sure.
day?
Yep.
And whatever we put out to be will be the perception that the public have on it. And like if we're out there making it look dangerous,
Hmm.
then people are going to think it is dangerous. But if you're out there with with slimline pads on and chinos, uh, there's nothing dangerous about that.
Right.
That makes it more accessible. And like, no, I don't ever see. Now I'm saying it. I can't say this statement anymore. I've just thought about it and I can think of a few. There are very few riders left in the community that don't ride with a helmet on these days.
Right.
Um, and and I think that's becoming a big thing in skateboarding, thankfully, to the likes of Andy Anderson and the vert riders and so on. Um, but the more accessible we can make mountain boarding appear, the more people will tolerate it in their sort of boundaries. And the
Right.
more within people's boundaries it is, the more people will take it up on it. Um, I have to say, Emlyn, I don't know whether I've said this to you, and it is a credit to you and Eamon at the moment because all of your videos there, you're always padded up, and you do always make mountain boarding look accessible and fun.
Yeah, that's what I
I
was gonna
assume
Right.
that's part of the remit to your videos, isn't it? But
Well, it's not hard to make it look fun because it is fun. And like
Right.
not
Yeah.
having fun, then don't bother filming it.
Right.
So yeah. Like yeah, if we stop having fun, we'll just stop filming and film another time. But yeah, that's the thing. I think just making it look fun and
yes, it's not always about it's not always about rapid progression and pushing boundaries. Sometimes it can just be about the experience or the journeyman. But like vlogging kind of captures that a bit more, doesn't it? Because you
yeah,
you get to go through a
Right.
process of an experience. You're not
Hmm.
just like the old skate style videos of mountain boarding where it's just trick, 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 trick. We don't, Dibs Clips will put out that sort of style video, but even he will. There's still a storyline to the videos. Do you know? Like,
yeah. I
um,
think it's good to have a balance because like that's the thing I think about. I like doing vlogs and stuff. And I think it's nice when people do that, like on YouTube or you can do it on Instagram or whatever, and take you along for the ride, basically, like you said, the journey. But
Hmm.
every now and then, it's nice to have that video that you go back to and you watch it more than twice. You watch it like 20 times because it inspires you to go riding because it's just like pleasing to see people land those tricks or bomb that
Right.
or whatever. So yeah, always trying to get the balance of the two.
I mean, I suppose
Right.
you do still see it even on things like stories and stuff. Say you guys be having a shred and you'll scroll through or whatever, and there'll be a trick, and then you'll do the next one, it'll be a trick, and then like the next photo or 5 second video will be two mates just walking up the hill next to each other. And
Yeah,
I fucking love that photo. It don't matter who's
Mhm.
in the photo. It's been recreated a million times, and I hope it's recreated a million times more. But the two or three riders walking up the hill in any format, just makes me. Oh, it just gives me a right buzz as much as the other stuff.
It's
yeah,
camaraderie, you know. I mean,
yeah,
you really see it in photos like that where there's multiple riders walking together. You can almost hear the conversation they're having, you know. It's probably towards mountain boarding. They're probably stoking each other up, and they're just in their own heads having the best time of their lives because they're around everyone that they want to be around doing exactly what they want to do.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's a good feeling.
Hmm.
And yeah, speaking of putting it out there on Instagram, which we've all been doing more of, that's the reason that I know about you. And the thing I most wanted to talk about was like where you're riding now and all these clips that you're putting on Instagram, which, well, if people haven't seen it, you've got to go and follow Joby One Kobe. But that's like your Instagram is a massive thing that's, well, making me want to spend money and come to America again. But also just whenever I see your Instagram and like flowy jumps and just really nice looking bike parks, I makes me want to go out riding straight away and find that kind of thing. So yeah, when did you start riding in Colorado and finding those parks?
That was so I moved to Colorado about 4 to 5 years ago, somewhere within that time frame. And then as soon as I got out here, like I said, maybe I worked like 2 months and then I went straight to the closest bike park and was like, oh, I'm back, because it had literally been about 8 years since I stepped on a board at
Wow.
all. And I just, I was like, I gotta put my nose to the grindstone if I'm ever gonna make it to any kind of place and food to where I can afford to live this life. So I finally made it out here and then started in Colorado Springs. That was Red Rocks area down there. Y'all might have visited that because that's the MBS Jason Lee territory.
Yeah, I've
Um,
seen videos.
they've built a little more too. There's also some epic spots out there that you'll see in some of the older videos. It's a really nice, diverse area. You're not going to find any of the biggest bike parks, but you'll find some great, road rides that are long and have nice little hips on the side to kind of slow yourself down. And then of course you rode Ruby. That was the next one I moved out to, and then eventually I made it to Denver for about a year, and we were riding Ruby, Broomfield. I think I saw y'all ride as well. That was kind of the pumper one. And then I mean, there's so many around there. Valmont's the other big one I saw y'all ripping. That's one of the funnest ones.
Yeah, I think it's my favorite.
Yeah, I
Right. Yeah,
gotta
the
say,
air there.
even as a non freestyler, oh man, that park was sick.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
So much.
after you'd ridden there, I don't think you can say you were a non-freestyler. It's great to watch on those hips.
Uh,
Yeah,
Akira,
it's there's so many, and then now I'm in the mountains. So I mean, there's bike parks literally in every small mountain town. I mean, it's really a different world up in the mountains because they rely on ski towns for revenue. Um, so it's now they've tried to bring revenue in the summer, so they're really getting those bike parks put up to kind of make it an all-inclusive kind of thing.
Mm.
Come back in the summer and all that stuff. So I mean, there's so many. I know me and you spoke the other day, Emlyn, about the Minturn that I tried
Yeah.
to hit. Just super flowy. They're all so different too. I mean, it's wild. And talking to Jason, I was like, Jason and Devin and everyone's lived here for so many years. I was like, yeah, I finally made it. You guys got all these parks, and they were like, no, we didn't. And I was like, really? And they were like, yeah, we just got these bike parks like a couple
Yeah.
of years ago. And I was like, oh, okay. Well,
Yeah.
I made it right on time then.
Didn't need to come any sooner.
Yeah, but anytime, that's what I have to, I have to super apologize too. I know last time y'all came out, I was so bummed in the kitchen. I just kind of didn't even think about it. I was like, all right, I just got to work. But it got so busy and there was some restructuring, corporate stuff. But I had to miss that one. But I definitely, I know Europe's the first on the list. I want to come over and ride with you guys. And then I'd love to make it to Japan again and ride
Yeah.
with those guys. That's the bucket list, the mountain boarding bucket list. But I definitely, I can always say long term when I can have my time, but as a chef, you never know, you never know what can happen. But man, I love the videos y'all put out, dude. I seeing y'all rip the spots, it's like, oh man, like, like I'm so good at this park, and then I see, you and Eamon and everybody come over, and you just rip it to shreds. And it's like that's amazing.
There was time was against us. There was no time for settling in on any of those parks with these buyers. They were on
Yeah,
a
Right.
true. And especially Eamon is crazy. I think as we've got older, I take longer to like warm up. It would take me like maybe up to 10 runs before I want to be like throwing stuff that I'm comfortable with, like 360s and flips and stuff. But he's like, he does one run and then he's straight in with his like hardest tricks.
Golly.
Like, I got to do it now. I'll be tired in a few runs. I'm like, yeah, you will be tired if you throw all those tricks straight away.
Right. That's what, like Dan was saying earlier, I think, really, if you want to jump into it and rip, that's what you're doing, and then sometimes, I've found over these years that I'll go out and I'll be like, man, I'm just not feeling it today. But if I'll just take a step back and go, I'm just going to ride this hill and I'm going to practice 180s and land and switch, and just stop thinking about everything else that's possible. It's the funnest day, I might have in a long time, just because I stop all the noise of like, I need to do this and I need to do this, and just really take myself back to that. Like, let's just find one thing and really come away proud because like, oh, I can ride switch better.
Yeah. And just enjoying the sensation sometimes, just like, sometimes I'll go to a park and yeah, I won't really get on very well with doing tricks, but then one berm feels amazing. And I'm just like,
Mm-hmm.
that berm was the sickest part, or even just like some little scrub that you do, or yeah, it could be
Right.
anything. But you've got to like, that's such a good point that you've got to remember that sometimes that you don't always have to be on top form in terms of like the hardest tricks or whatever. You
I, th-
can just take a step back. Yeah.
I think
Right.
you've been concentrating a little bit on that on your socials of late, really, with this little grab series that you've been doing. The simple things.
Right.
It's the same with cooking, right? Tell me I'm wrong here. If you use simple, fresh ingredients, it's really hard to fail. If you
Right.
do simple tricks really well, you can't fail to have a good time,
Right.
you know?
I think it flows the same too. I mean, when you're a beginning cook, you're learning. When you learn stuff, you start throwing all this stuff out like, oh, add this and this and this and this. And then, I did a cook test the other day and like nice fresh summer squash goes with basil, very well. So I just a little salt and a little bit of basil, and I sauteed it and put it on the plate, and it came with like this nice pork chop and stuff, and had all these other accoutrements and looked beautiful. But at the end of eating it, they were like, "Wow, that squash was so good," and that's what I was telling them, and it's kind of stuff that people talk about in America. I'm sure all over the world about food. They're like, oh, "I'm a foodie," but it really doesn't take much. You have to know, once you get into food and you've learned so much that your ego's gone and you have confidence in yourself and you more want to help other people and work with them, then you lose all that, like, I've got to do this and this, and you just really appreciate what you're cooking with and your ability to get it. Fresh squash in the mountains is lovely. Like, there's a lot of stuff that we don't have here that Alabama did have because it's coastal and it was very fertile in the soil.
Mm.
Um, but
Potatoes.
yeah, mountain boarding, the better you get at it, the more you see that it doesn't take much on those days that you just want to have fun.
Yeah.
There's days where I'm like, I'm getting the camera, I'm gonna go out, I'm gonna throw this flip, and I'm either gonna get a land or a wreck. Both is great to put online, like, but it's the grab series is something that I've just recently found. Like I said, with kind of my busy schedule, I try to put what I can out. When you see me kind of fall off social media, that's when I'm in it. And I found that I took like 10 runs that day, and I ended up getting about 8 different shots that I could make into a video. And yeah, I was like, maybe I could just do this grab stuff and accumulate videos that I can kind of backlog, and maybe in my busy times it's a quick little something to put out there to keep putting something out.
Yeah.
And also, I don't have health insurance right now, so I was like, maybe I'll work on my grabs.
Yeah.
No health insurance in a big fall in America means your life has changed and you're back to square one. So I'll get the health insurance, and then you'll see me start trying new stuff again.
Yeah.
Like,
Then you can go upside down again.
right. That flip I did the other day, I think I put in my story. I tried it, and it was the first time I was landing into like a BMX straight down landing. So I didn't land either of them. And after the second one, I was like, all right, I tempted fate enough. I'm glad I conquered my fear and tried it. And now I know the dynamics of what I need to do to get down into that more of a straight down landing. And I was like, I'm good.
That's techie. That's cool though. So is Breckenridge your local at the moment, or has it been?
Yeah, so for the past 2 years, I've been in Breckenridge. A lot of the times you'll see me riding the park that's like 2 blocks away. It's the Wellington Park.
Oh
And then
yeah.
Frisco is one of the bigger parks. Frisco reminds me a lot of y'all's parks to where the jumps aren't super lippy. You
Yeah.
kind of have that nice out, smooth launch. It looks like it's so clean to get up in the air, where the lippy ones sometimes it can launch you high and you got to get used to that. But Frisco's a good one. That's the two I ride. But
Yeah, we did actually go to Frisco and it was still wet, but we
ah,
could see the potential and we were like, yeah, we've
That
got
was the
to.
place with those huge, great big S berms in.
Yeah, I think so. It had that skate park that we rode and
Yeah, great big
mhm.
like North Shore drop off.
Right. The big wooden drop.
Yeah,
yeah.
I just
Yeah.
remember some whacking great big berms, like 8 foot high berms with
Right.
through in between some stuff down there.
No,
Looked
Yeah.
if it
Kent.
wasn't for seeing that park, I might not be too fussed about. Well, obviously, I'd still want to come back, but I wouldn't be so eager to come back to Colorado.
Well, I'll tell you, they recently, I know you've seen some videos of Devin hitting the extra large line there.
That looked
Um,
huge.
they've recently revamped it. So instead of having these big like gaps that you have to clear, they've actually changed those to two just straight up tabletops.
Wow, cool.
Yeah, so it's really accessible. So if you did come, hopefully when you come back, but when you hit the extra large line, you can work your way up to it and be, hit. I think the 30-foot gap's the biggest one.
Wow.
You could be hitting that by the end of the day. Whereas before, I mean, I was like, Devin, I'm not hitting this, dude. This is all you.
Mhm.
But now I'm like, okay, because I can land on top. I don't have to go into the pit of despair if I don't
Yeah,
make it.
that's a big difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Certainly the mindset. I mean, the actual distance covered is no different, is it?
Mm.
No, like,
But,
like I said, I always loved tabletops because they allowed me to start low
Mhm.
and then just pop off that jump and do nothing, and then go a little bit higher, pop off, maybe land halfway, and then really gauge that speed.
Yeah.
What speed am I looking for? What's going to put me right there in that landing? What's going to set me up for the next jump? Do I need to kill my speed? Do I need to add some speed?
Mm.
Um, but yeah, that I've always liked tabletops for that reason. I just feel like it's the best jump for accessibility to everyone.
Yeah. Yeah, they're fun. And so yeah, that Wellington one looks amazing, especially when the leaves start to turn. Can't
Oh,
I really want to come and film there in like this time. I guess they're
yeah,
turning
it's
now.
it's beautiful. That's definitely when all the Instagrammers come out.
Yeah.
It goes from it's amazing these towns. They go from there's maybe 50 people that actually live here
Mm.
year round
Wow.
and work. And usually those people it's wild too, because you come up in the mountains of Colorado and you find the most diversity. My wife, she is half Filipino, and we found the most Filipino culture we've ever found in America up in the mountains, because they'll come through on a visa program and then they'll get their citizenship and stay because it's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, like it's so wonderful up here, because as a chef, I stay so busy, and I'm not a person that what's it called, networks, and goes around and like tries to use my voice to go. I rely on my skill, and if people don't want me because of that, that's fine. But here it's so much easier to meet people and to know people and to rely on other chefs and meet friends. It's a blessing. But then you have these other parts of the year where it's just wall to wall packed.
Mm.
Everyone's coming up here. It's the destination spot. So it's interesting up here. It's very interesting.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
seems
But
So,
Wellington, the leaves definitely got to come up when the leaves. Like I said, they're starting to right now. So September, October, But the only thing is like I was telling you the other day, you do run the risk of running close to that what they call mud season.
Yeah.
So you've got a winter, you've got like a fall mud season and a spring mud season. In those month to a month and a half, you either got sunshine and it's beautiful, or right now it's thunderstorms right now.
Mm.
So it's the only time that you see a lot of rain up here. But those middle seasons of the summer, you're good. It's dry. If it rains one day, the next day it's going to be dry. You're good.
Yeah, we've got to do it. It looks amazing.
Mm-hmm. I'll quit my job if they don't let me come ride with y'all next time.
So we'll try and give you plenty of notice.
Yeah, y'all gave me plenty last time. It came up. They basically, what happens, they fired all my bosses, and then all these other people from another area came over and were like, we have some opportunities. And I was like, you want me to do more work for no more pay, right? And that was what the deal was. So it kind of stretched us thin and had us in different areas that we weren't responsible for, and a lot of learning, a lot of growth. I'm not saying anything negative about it, except for the fact I couldn't go ride with you guys, and that looked like an amazing trip. And at the end of the day, I'm glad that y'all were able to take the trip, and see these spots. And like I said, just shred them, dude. I don't know what the name of the hill is. It's out in Grand Junction, and I can't remember who exactly it was, but someone like scaled the whole thing, right?
Yeah, nearly. Yeah,
Yeah. Like
that.
watching that, dude, is like, that's awesome,
Well, that's the very same hill that has been playing in the background with Sayer and that dropping there in down
right.
Durham.
I always see them fall about halfway down. That duff gets them, and then when I seen that one, I was like, congratulations on that descent.
That's the other reason that I want to come back to Colorado is I want to try it, but the 2 times I have been there, I've just thought, well, this just isn't really worth it, is it? I'm on holiday. I want to just enjoy myself. But then I don't know. I've been watching.
Is it still eating at you a bit, Emlyn? Because it's me.
Yeah, I've watched the videos back a lot, and each time I'm like, it makes me anxious when I see them, like clips of Rennie and Bieran and Matt stood at the top. But I'm like, just it would be sick, wouldn't it, to be the one to ride it out? I mean, I kind of want to do it first, and then I can do it. But I don't think I'm the person to do it at all. But you never know, do you?
As long as you don't take 10 runs to warm up into it.
Yeah, true. Yeah,
you got to aim in it. You got to jump straight in.
Yeah.
Top to bottom. Just a sip of water and a song in your heart.
Exactly. Yeah, it's got to be done.
I'd be a liar if I were to say that it hadn't been discussed about returning at some point in the future.
Like I said, I'm gonna, as soon as I know, I'm really gonna just try to get my job to be like, hey, I really want to take this time, and I actually am possibly moving soon to another mountain town. And on the way, I saw what really seemed to be a mini Grand Junction. And I'm gonna take a picture of it and I'm gonna send it out in the mountain board community. It looked just like the same rock surface, not too rocky. And it was next to a bunch of buttes, like the flat, ones out in Utah. Mm-hmm. And I just rode by it. I didn't get a chance to take a video, but man, it's a little bit closer too. So it might be a stop off to do a mini one. And then the buttes get smaller. So there's a chance I saw a couple, maybe 10, 20-foot drops.
Right. Wow.
So I'm going to try to ride it. And a lot of times out here, stuff's fenced off. So this one wasn't. And I was like, all right.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we talked about bringing water and shovels and stuff as well and trying to make some lips. And
that's the big problem out here, water.
Yeah.
You ride a lot of bike parks and you're like, this is run down. But then when you look around, there's absolutely no water source anywhere. So yeah, a lot of times that's the hardest part. Valmont, they have their water supply on deck.
Yeah, they got the sprinklers, and I couldn't believe that when we came over. Went straight to Broomfield, and then the sprinklers went off, and I was like, wow, they've got it good. We need to do this.
Right. Spoiled,
Yeah,
especially as kids out here.
yeah, I know. They're so lucky. It's
I
great.
suppose that was a strange thing for me over there. Like if most bike parks, you have a few bike parks that are put on by government funded sort of organizations. Like in the UK, we have the National Trust and the Woodland Trust, and they are given land to be custodians of, and they work as a charitable operations, and the money that they charge to come onto the land, this historic land, it might have a castle on, or it might have an importance for some reason. So they have a few bike parks on some of these woodland estates and things like that up and down the country. But bike parks, for the most part, are pay to play. Where we went when we came over there, we didn't pay to go to any bike park uh, at all. It's all government and local government funded from the local taxpayers' dollars, I assume.
Right.
Um, and
We,
yeah, yeah. Where's my bloody sprinkler fed mountain board park?
You guys got universal health care. We got bike parks for free.
Okay, all right, okay.
yeah, and if you could
It's
have
not a
both,
fair trade.
yeah,
But
Yeah,
it's,
mate,
you
we're
know,
stick. We're stick.
well, yeah, you're lucky.
but that's why well, no, that's not why. It kind of makes no sense, but like, if you could have both, then you'd be winning because you don't
But see, in
like,
capitalism, if you have bike parks with no free health insurance, you make more money.
yeah.
You got more people coming in. Yeah, I mean, in Alabama, it was kind of the same. That was another reason why, like I kind of wanted to get out of Alabama and was searching for my avenue before I knew it was Colorado. It's a wonderful state. I'll say nothing negative about it. All my family lives there, beautiful scenery, but they just never spent any local government dollars on outdoor activities.
Mm.
So, I mean, until I moved, 5 years ago, they had no skate parks. Like there was no skate parks in the cities at all. And if it was those old jank ones where they would just put these like non, permanent like metal structures. And it usually consisted of a ramp, like a roll in to a little mini box in the middle that had a rail and maybe a stair set, and then a quarter pipe on the other side. And that was it. So when I moved to I lived in Georgia for a little bit, and they're the same as Colorado. They have a separate tax. I can't remember what they call it, but you pay into it and they use it to build. Like when I moved there, they were building a brand new, it was the sickest skate park I've ever rode. But and they put these signs up like, hey, you guys paid for this with your taxes. Colorado's the same way. I mean, it's really a world away from, I mean, I haven't been to every state, but I know Colorado does a really good job of taking any kind of in-state money and spending it on something that's going to benefit the people that live in the state.
Yeah,
It's something it's wonderful to find, because in capitalism sometimes greed can take over. But it's nice to see that they really do. I've paid my taxes before and they sent me a check, and it was like, hey, thanks for paying your taxes on time. And I was like, that's awesome. So it's really nice over here. They do a lot of community stuff. In the wintertime, if you're down in Denver, they have a little snowboard park and it's free. You just
yeah,
go out there and ride it. So it's wonderful. They really do. Even at my job, I work all the time. It's the only time in my life I've heard, do you get outdoors? Do you go on the mountain? And I'll say, oh, yeah, I do. And they always go, wonderful. We want to make sure that you're getting outdoors and enjoying the mountains.
Yeah.
So they're really devoted to being outdoors and being healthy.
yeah, it's great.
So with us staring down the barrel of a winter ahead, when do you expect first snowfalls, Josh?
So all mountains usually open around November 10th to the 22nd. There'll be snowfall in October, but it's still not really sticking. The next day it could melt. And then in November is when, like, almost late October, early November is when it just drops off to, like, sometimes it can be like 4 degrees at night. And then that's when the snow will fall and stick. And then they start trying to get that base layer laid down. You'll see all of them, blowing the snow to get the lower parts set up. And then, so they'll open those lower parts, and then later in the season, they'll start opening the upper parts because natural snow falls.
Mm.
So yeah, here soon, it's definitely getting colder. If you go down to Denver, like I said, I think I said 5 to 6 degrees Celsius for y'all, but I think that translates to about 20 degrees Fahrenheit.
Right.
That's usually the difference at any time from Denver's at 6,000 something feet. We're at 10,500.
Yeah.
So it'll definitely get colder and snow here the whole winter, where Denver, it'll melt. It's really, I miss Denver so much. I love the mountains, but Denver is the mountain board spot because yeah, everyone else is like snowboarding and stuff. And I love snowboarding. It's really fun, but I love mountain boarding more. Like I found that out since I snowboarded. I was like, this is incredible. So Denver, you always have accessibility to bike parks,
Yeah.
Up here, it's winter, and that's pretty much it. There's no indoor skate parks or anything. So you're basically going to snowboard and pretend it's a mountain board. But no complaints. I mean, like I said, I'm not trying to get spoiled up here.
Cool. And it sounds so cool, like hearing about at Ruby Hill, that sometimes you've got the snow rail park, and then you've actually got the bike park that's rideable at the same time. Like that,
Right.
That's mind blowing.
Right. That was one of the moments I think I kind of like took a deep breath, and I was like, I'm so glad that all the hard work I put in paid off, because I'm sitting there, like you said, it was that perfect time where I'm hitting the snow park, and the bike park's almost dry enough. They've still got the signs up that say, and they've got the social media saying, oh, we're looking to open tomorrow. But you're like staring at people snowboarding, and you're looking right over at the spot you're going to mountain board the next day.
Yeah.
And it's like, this is insane.
And then the huge skate park there as well. And it's, well, near Valmont, but yeah, just like, oh, yeah, it's pretty good for extreme sports over there.
Y'all have got a lot of them too. I noticed that a lot of bike parks y'all started riding and stuff. That one where they keep, I don't know what it's called, but they kind of keep a cloth over the jumps to, I guess, protect them. But that one looks really fun. Yeah. And then the pump tracks you hit.
Yeah. The track where Dan works in the cafe, where he runs the cafe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Congrats on that, by the way, Dan. That was awesome when I saw you open that.
Yeah, it's really good.
It's a great spot. It's a great spot. It's not the too beginner friendly, I'd say. You got to have control of your board in there. There's no real area to learn how to power slide and put your first turns in as such.
Right.
But it is a sick spot, and I'm super lucky that the guys there allow me to rent rent me a cafe there, and have accessibility for us guys, because we do struggle a bit sometimes with accessibility in bike parks here. I think the fear of the unknown, a historical fear of them being sort of death traps and stuff, and nobody wants anybody coming on and doing themselves a mischief on their property and running the risk of them saying, well, I'm a perfectly good rider, it was the fault of the hill, or
Right.
Yeah, I think it's more us potentially hitting bikers, hitting other people and causing other people to get injured, and then but there are a few, and because like Dan said, all the good ones really are private and you have to pay for them. So there are a few that don't let us in, and there's one especially called Twisted Oaks that looks amazing. Luckily, it's miles away from me, so I don't need to get too annoyed about it. Also, one just up the road from me, which is also huge, which could be good. Which they just point blank say no, like it's our insurance. But the ones that we do have, which are the track and Phoenix, and then a few public ones which are pretty cool. Um, yeah, the track and Phoenix they're definitely on a level with the American ones that I've been to anyway. I mean, Valmont and Ruby were pretty amazing, but when you have a good day at the track's crazy because it's a small space, but there's like over 100 jumps just in this tiny space. And I don't know
Right.
how they built them all, but it's pretty cool because you don't have to walk very far and
Did
kind
did
of end.
Eamon tell you about his infinite loop?
No,
Uh-uh.
I don't think so. What was he
So
talking
Eamon
about?
came down maybe a month or two ago, just did some work out at the cafe, and had a ride in between jobs as such. Um, but he'd found a route that he thought if he can get enough of a pump on, he could get about two-thirds of the way back up the hill, uh, enough to a point where you could then drop back in again to the same run. And if you could keep your aerobic fitness up enough, you could treat it like an infinite loop. So I think like the main run down probably has 10 10 hits in it, um, or more if you were to be like popping rollers and stuff like that, and then pump back up all the way up a step up onto the top of like a drop in that he managed to. I've never even seen bikers doing this, and Eamon come through and stepped up onto it and then managed to get pumped back round. So then he managed to do this two times in a row. So he hit in one run, copy at least 30 kickers. It was absolutely blowing out of his asshole by the end
I
of
was
it.
about to say, I'm out of
But
breath just hearing that story.
yeah, but yeah, how many? There's the new challenge for you, Emlyn. How many loops? I'll show you the route, and you've got to be Eamon's two. Once you do the first run, he's had two loops.
Okay, get my tires up to 150 psi.
That's it, yeah, 100. And pray that we got an easterly wind.
Yeah,
Just
Um,
take giant fans out there, create the tailwind.
yeah. Oh yeah, but yeah, all of you American guys have got to come over and come to Bugs, especially. It's
I
like,
know Devin said he wants to plan one, and I was like, I'm on board if you do that.
yeah.
So we definitely, like I said, most of the time for us, it's money issues, to be honest. I mean,
yeah,
it's I've lived my whole life just having to watch everyone. I was like, how is everyone going to these different countries? I was
mm,
like, oh, I'm poor. But and then with you see the state of our economy, things just kind of constantly. As I got a new job, everything was more expensive, and then I would get a promotion, and then everything was more expensive.
yeah,
So that it's like you have to dedicate yourself to that. And like I said, those are the two that I've told my wife recently, and we agree that if she isn't wanting to take that as her trip, then her and her sister are going to go to another place. And I was like, yeah, that's perfect. So I've got the okay from my wife. She was like, that's fine. If that's what you want to do, you should do that. Like I said, she's been very supportive. When we met each other, she knew that there was a mountain board in my trunk and all the tires were flat. But when she first saw me do like backflips on a mountain board, she was like, I had no idea you rode that thing. And I
yeah.
was like, yeah, I never rode it while we were together, but I'm back.
Wow.
Well, look, guys, I think we're knocking on about an hour and a half here. I don't want to, as much fun as I'm having here. Um,
Same.
I don't want to run on for too long and risk boring boring. I don't know whether are people still listening? Are people still listening at this point? Who knows?
Hello.
Um, but
I know
yeah,
it's late on y'all's end.
are there any other questions before, if we're bearing it in mind to start trying to wrap it up? Are there any other questions that you had in? You interjected absolutely perfectly, by the way. All your questions were on the tip of my tongue as well, and you aren't asked them all at perfect timing. Some might say,
Thank you, because I talk a lot and I try not to talk over people.
No, we've done well. I don't think there's anything else I was going to ask, but is there anything else you want to that we've missed out that you wanted to share?
As far as on my end,
Yeah.
not really. I mean, I really appreciate y'all taking the time to talk to me. I mean, there's been so many, as Dylan would say, legends on here. Every person that's done an interview has had some kind of awesome part to play in this community that we have. And, like I said, I feel very blessed to be able to just come on here and talk with you guys. Emlyn, you're at the top of your game, man. Like I said, thanks again. Dan, you're like a staple. I saw you hit that park one day too. I was like, who's that? I was like, oh my God, it's Dan. He's ripping it. So, I mean, we're all writers, and I just appreciate y'all taking the time to talk to me. Let me tell my story and, just talk with you guys.
That's great. It's inspirational. And yeah, like I said, I'm loving all the clips that you're putting up. And
Thanks.
That's it.
Yeah,
I'm here for it.
Fueling mountain boarders, fires in bellies around the world, man. And no joke.
Good.
Especially
That's what we're trying to do. I mean, we're in a new age where you can make a quick clip and you can get thousands of views.
yeah,
So I think it's a good time to be, excited about putting yourself out there like that and keeping the sport, perpetually moving forward and up.
Yeah, and just keeping each other bloody motivated.
Right.
You definitely do.
yeah.
Like I said, you used to have to watch the same tape over and over. Now you can get online, and at any point in the day, you probably got about 4 or 5 to 15 new videos, more than that. I mean, hundreds really with everyone that posts online. So you can just scroll and just have fun.
It's mad. And I always think like, obviously, my favorite thing is to ride with other people. But if they're not available, then I'll go riding anyway. And if I film it, it's kind of like I am riding with them because I can still share the experience in some way.
Right. You want to do that trick because you're like, I want to post this so everyone's like, oh my God, you did that, So you do have that community, always. You never feel alone.
Yeah. And to make sure that they come next time because they felt like they missed out.
Right. Yeah. That's usually when I do something, it's because I know Devin's going to have to do it after me.
Yeah.
Exactly. He puts it on himself. He's like, well, dang, now I got to do it. And I'm like, yeah, you do.
Oh, God bless that. God bless Devin. What an talk about legends. There is a legend.
Right. He's really protecting the mountain board scene out here in Colorado. He makes sure that we don't, mess up parks. And he's always told me like, we'll show up somewhere wet. And I'm thinking myself, I'm not going to ride it, but still he makes sure everyone knows like, we shouldn't ride this,
Yeah.
So he really protects the names, and a lot of the bikers respect the mountain board community because they know we take care of the trails more than anybody.
Yeah, that's great.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Right, well then, guys, this has been the Jobby Wonkabee episode with Josh.
Jobby Wonkabee. Sorry, that was a terrible Scottish accent.
Thank you again, both of you guys, for your time this evening. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on.
Yeah.
Catch us all on the next episode with whoever it will be.
Ooh,
see you then.
Exciting.
Thanks, guys. Thanks again, man.
Way aye, man. That was dead canny as out, that like. Cheers for tuning out to listen. Now, before you gan yem, don't forget, if you want to keep getting doing with the Dorty Dort fun, like and subscribe. Get amongst it. Shy Ben's getting out.